tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey!
You're always at the A.
I know I do. Hey!
I'm surprised you're still so excited to be here.
I know. Well, we're going to talk about that, Jeff. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Hell's Kitchen After Show. I am your host, Lem Gonsalves, and we have a full house tonight. I think it's been a while since the whole crew is here, and I'm so really excited. And we're doing like a double episode, so it's going to be like a full, long show. To my left is the incomparable Miss Marielou Mandl.
There she is.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
And I already shouted him out, but I'm going to shout him out again. My brother from another mother, Mr. Jeff Thurm.
What up, what up?
So, ladies and gentlemen,
No.
Just going to pull it out. Just to start.
Oh, my gosh.
Do we...
Okay.
It's okay. We'll get there.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I'm going to try not to think about it right now.
You can talk through your feelings, though.
I'm going to talk through my feelings. We got a lot to cover.
Got a lot of feelings.
2 episodes. Yeah, we got to get it cracking.
And really, in these 2 episodes, a lot of the feels.
It is a lot of the feels. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of moments where I was like, no, wait,
Yeah.
huh? Like,
Yeah.
It was great.
It was an
great.
emotional roller coaster. Like, and I think too, because it is getting down to the wire, I think for the most part, all of these people want it. And all of these people are pretty decent chefs or cooks. So I think now it's just a matter of will. It's like, can you hang? Can you survive?
Can you lead?
Yeah, can you lead? Exactly. Are you vocal in the kitchen? The mistakes, it's fewer and fewer that you can make. If you make 2 mistakes on the same dish, that's pretty much, that's it for you. So, and this happens the same way every season. So, and when it gets to this point, but then I think it also shows everyone's true colors of where they are. And I love when it gets to the Black Jackets, because then there's no more team. It's just them. So if you can't hang by yourself, it'll show, because you can't hide by anybody. When you're on the team, especially towards the beginning, there's so many things you can hide behind, and it's his fault or their fault, or it's not my fault. But now it's like you're on your own. So it's down to the nitty gritty. So let's just jump into it. Like I said, we had a lot to cover. So the first episode that we're going to cover is 8 Chefs from Pete, correct? And in this particular one, we had the coveted blind taste test, which
You've been looking forward to this.
I have been. This is one of my favorite challenges that he does. Happens every year. And I think a lot of people basically do way worse than what they think they're going to do. Because I think every single season when he does this, there's always that, those few people like, I got this. Oh, my palate is amazing. Oh, da-da-da-da-da. They're just raving about it. And then they'll get like 1 out of 4.
And being a first-time watcher, I'm shocked that these chefs couldn't name these such simple things.
Exactly. And you would think, like, come on, like, you couldn't taste watermelon. Like, that's a distinct flavor. Some of them would be difficult. Like a mushroom, I think, would be very difficult to do, because you can't see it. It doesn't have a whole lot of flavor to it. But yeah, some of them, I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, let's jump into it. So, he kind of mixed it up this time. I hadn't seen him do this, where he had a dunk tank.
The dunk tank,
Yeah.
and poor Tasha was terrified.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, if you watch the show, what happened was people there was a blind taste test. So, of course, they're broken up in the team. You have one person each team that was tasting the food that he was giving blindfolded. They had 4 chances. And then there was a team member basically in a dunk take. If they got 2 wrong, then they were fine. But if they got 3 wrong, then done. And if they got 4 wrong, another dunk.
Again.
And that happened like a few times.
Yeah.
And usually that doesn't happen. Usually people get like at least 1 out of the 4. But there was like a few times that it came, a couple of times it came out like where they got nothing. So the first pairing was Santos versus Rowe. Santos right out the gate, 4 wrong. Horrible.
Yeah.
Rowe didn't do much better, 1 out of 3. Sterling. Okay.
It's okay. Hold
It's
yourself
okay.
together.
It's okay. He did good. He got 2 out of 2. Fernando, another goose egg, 0 out of 4. Jennifer, 0 out of 4. Sade, Sade, she talks a lot. Big game, right? She talks a big game. 1 out of 3. Latasha, 1 out of 3. And I thought Latasha, she's my ace. She's the one I think is going to take it all.
Yeah.
And she got 1 out of 3. And then Bryant, 2 out of 2. So literally the best person got 2 out of 2.
2 out of 4.
2 out of 4, excuse me. 2 out of 4. So I'm like, what is going on with this group? That is this as again, I've watched this 13 seasons. This literally is the worst that I've seen.
Wow.
Everyone. Oh, absolutely. This is hands down the worst that I've seen 2 teams do. I mean, like I said,
calls
with
it the
all
most exciting test that they've ever had.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the
dunk tank.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely because of the dunk tank.
And people got dunked so much.
Yeah.
Well, you see what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't.
They were so bad.
It was so bad, very, very bad. The score ends up being tied at the end. So what they did is like a sudden death type thing, and it ended up being Rowe versus Bryant, and the red team ends up taking it. So
our girl
Rowe took
Rowe.
it. She was just on the show when we were here 2 weeks ago. Shout out to her. The reward is a day in Santa Monica Pier, dinner at the Lobster.
Which I'm sorry, but it's such a pathetic reward.
I mean,
you see them go wine tasting in Santa Barbara, day trips to San Francisco.
Not all of them can be extravagant. You gotta mix it up.
Down the street to ride the roller coaster once. You get one.
They got to eat at the Lobster. That looked like a nice place. It wasn't just the pier. Just the pier would be like, okay, anybody can do just the pier. But you got to think too, like anytime.
My mom was just in town and she was like, let's stay away from the Santa Monica Pier. Take me anywhere but the Santa Monica Pier.
What you got on the pier? What's the
it's
problem?
Like the Times Square of, no one that lives here.
Well, Third Street problem. I mean, there's they got that Ferris wheel thing, and
it's just not a very, to me,
there's water.
Or to Jennifer, there's not a very exciting reward after you get wined and dined in Santa Barbara.
I understand. Out of all
Vegas,
the ones that you can do, that they've done.
That's like a 19 chefs compete reward.
Right.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, not down to the wire.
So production management, I don't know what you do with your budget, but
all I gotta say is
private helicopters.
Right. Well, and the thing is too, like, none of these people are from California. So you got to think, I mean, granted, they've had some nice rewards, but anytime they can get out of the kitchen and not have to prep. And then also because they're not from California, anything you're going to do is going to be new and exciting for them. So
except for Jennifer, who hated that roller coaster.
Right. Well, that's true. But Jennifer is Jennifer. We'll talk about her in a minute, but she's kind of the hater of the bunch.
She's so annoying.
Sade is frustrated again because she's literally been losing like a losing streak. And it sucks too because in her situation, when she was on the red team, they lost a bunch, and then she went over to the blue team. The red team started winning, and then the blue team started losing. So she literally like just went from losing. Oh, I'm going to be losing some more.
It was like her 6th or 7th in a row.
Right. So
it's real stir crazy.
Really bad for her. And they had to clean the dorms. And so Chef Ramsay ends up calling everybody that he's going to close Hell's Kitchen to the public, and he's going to have a VIP dinner for firefighters.
Love that.
Which was dope.
It was great.
I thought that was dope. And this is also something that I've seen them do before. Always not firefighters, but it's usually some type of community activist group or, a group that's doing something good for the community. So it's kind of like a rewarding type thing. And so usually they have the, where it's 12 on one table, 12 on the other. And it's like a fine dining experience. 5 courses, all the waiters give them at the same time. So it makes it, even though they're not doing their normal, what they would do, it's still, time sensitive because of how it has to be delivered, so on and so forth. So, like I said, they're serving a 5-course dinner. Everyone is responsible to lead 1 course. So this, I think, was a good indicator of what it's going to be when the Black Jackets, because with the Black Jackets, again, you're on your own. And so this was kind of a precursor, I think, to kind of see how people can do where they have to just handle one thing.
And as a viewer, I was really excited for it to be something different.
Yeah, same.
It just was exciting that it was different.
Right. This shinking chair again.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have this problem.
You're sick all
You
the
had this problem
time.
earlier today too.
I did.
You and chairs.
Chairs. Chairs don't like me. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to fix this in a minute. So we'll start off with right. We'll start off with the the service. Ro, our girl Ro, she ends up seasoning the scallops too early, and Chef kind of got on her about that because basically in this type of situation you cook to order. So if you do something early, like you start cooking something before it's even ordered, then it takes away from what you're supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be fresh, it's supposed to be done to order, so food is not just sitting around, all that kind of stuff. She starts eating them scallops early. Obviously that's going to hurt the scallops to one degree.
Actually really interesting because I didn't really know that. I thought that was really smart for her to season them early. I was like, yeah, like getting prepared, making sure that you're ready. Like, good job, bro. Like, really getting ahead of yourself. And then I like that he was like, and why can't you do that? He's like, because it dries them out. And I was like, that was so interesting that I mean, I don't cook fish. Like,
right.
I cook beef or chicken, and I let that stuff sit for overnight. But it's like scallops, you really can't mess with, otherwise they just won't cook right. It was interesting.
There's like some dishes that if you're like marinating it with something with even lemon in it, it'll start to cook early, and then it'll mess up your final product.
Well, I think with seafood, I think in particular, again, I'm not a chef either, but I think that because it's delicate, I think something like that. And scallops, we know it's a problem, and I think that's why he has scallops, because of the way they have to cook. And we saw that in the next episode, how Ro had that kind of kind of situation. We'll talk about it in a minute, but it makes it difficult. It's a time thing. It's a time thing. You have to do it a certain way, otherwise it's not going to be good. And so with the scallops, obviously, you season them early, I guess it's going to damage them. Chef Ramsay also lets them know that the courses have to go out at the same time, which we're talking about, which adds to the fine dining experience. Both teams ended up with this particular challenge. They didn't do too well overall. And I thought that they might struggle as well because this is a different situation. Like I said, this is a precursor to Black Jackets. What did you think overall with the service? How did you think? I don't think it looked like it didn't go that well. What was your take on it from that particular? Because this was a different way of doing things.
It looked like they were struggling with the switch. I mean, but they struggle with the way that they've been doing it the whole season. Like that's sometimes hit or miss too. So I wasn't surprised that it was kind of a struggle, that they had this new element of like both sides have to go out at the same time. There's new things that you have to pay attention to. But again, I'm still disappointed because I feel like they should know how to do something like that.
Right.
There's also, there seems to be a lack of like, one person was in charge for each thing. So when, for example, like when Bryant was upset with Santos, like being gone for so long, or Santos thought that Bryant was, not leading properly. Bryant then like didn't deliver to his full potential under like it's like, because you effed me over, I'm gonna F you over. So there's that little bit of like, I don't know, kind of cattiness and sassiness that I feel like which just comes with someone being designated a leader. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but then I felt like multiple times they didn't all go at the same time. Like I thought.
Oh, you mean the timing was off?
Yeah.
Like they didn't. I mean, I think with editing, I think that was an editing thing.
It's confusing.
Yeah, and true, it could have been like where that was the intent, but it maybe didn't happen that way.
But from a production standpoint, I loved how cool it looked when they all went around and dropped the plates at the same time.
Yeah, the aerial shot.
Right.
It's great.
That is pretty dope. Is pretty dope. I always want to kind of go to a place. I haven't been able to yet to go to a place of that caliber. But yeah, I do want to do that because I think that's fresh. They give it and they all like 1, 2, 3, bloop, pop off the top or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, bomb. So like we said before, he actually had both teams deliberate in this particular time. And the red team in their deliberation ended up nominating Ro and Sterling. The blue team ended up nominating Fernando and Santos, which I mean, I kind of agree with in that particular, with the blue side. I think they both, have had their struggles overall. I think they've kind of been able to, both Fernando and Santos kind of hide behind the weaker people. And now that the weaker people are getting, eliminated, I think now what they're doing, because I don't think that I think this is how they've been cooking the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't think they just had a bad service.
I agree.
I think this is where they've been, and there is no room to hide now. So now they're being exposed. Ro, we know, has been kind of a roller coaster. Sterling, It's Sterling,
So this is like his millionth time.
Yeah. He was up there, and I was
convinced he was going.
I thought he was going to go home at that point. And then Fernando actually ends up thinking he's a threat, which was ironic because he was the one that was eliminated.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you're a threat. You're a threat to go home. That's what you're a threat to. And I haven't been. I don't know. Was it you that's a fan of Fernando?
I was a Fernando fan.
Yeah, I haven't. I was never a Fernando fan. I don't know why you were a Fernando fan.
I thought he was going to be like a silent killer, like just
like a dark horse type thing.
Yeah, just kind of doing things in his own. I think his accent and I think I was just like.
You think his accent?
Like convinced me that he was just a good chef.
Okay.
He played the part for you,
Right?
And it was like the idea of what like a chef like cartoon would be.
Oh,
in my
wow.
head.
Okay.
All right.
Like with the chef hat on and everything.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I was.
Okay, Jeff.
I just liked him. I don't know. It seems like a
Yeah,
nice
I liked
guy.
him too. I didn't think he would win the whole thing, but I did like
I thought
him.
He was gonna do well.
And I really was surprised that he went home before Sterling.
I was pissed because Sterling's been up there so many damn times.
Yeah.
And this is Fernando's first time up.
Is it his first time up?
First or second or.
I think he's been up before. I think he's definitely been up before.
It wasn't his time to go home. It was someone else's time to go home, but we'll get there.
I don't know. I have no remorse because I was not a fan of Fernando. I thought his attitude was just kind of like, I thought he was the type of person, he thought he was better than what he was. That's what I got from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was
clearly.
just like, like even what he said, he thinks he's a threat. He's up there, he's like, oh yeah, I'm a threat. That's why you guys are voting me up there. No, you're voting up there because you're not doing good. And I think he was just oblivious to where he really was. And Chef Ramsay obviously eliminated for a purpose. So that's that episode. We're going to go into the next episode, which obviously is 7 chefs compete. And at the beginning of this one, it was a really cool thing. They actually had this artist that created a painting in about 3 minutes. Now it's funny upside down. It's funny because I actually thought that person initially was going to be a friend of mine. I have a friend. His name is David Garibaldi. Shout out to him. He is a phenomenal artist. He was actually a finalist on America's Got Talent.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember which season, but he's a good friend of mine. He's from Sacramento. I was born and raised in Sacramento. He's from there. He's obviously traveled the world now doing his art. So, but that's what he does. He does that exact thing.
Speed painting.
Yeah, exactly. On the black canvas, and he does like famous people. He can do pretty much anybody. And it was dope because I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be on the show. My boy David, I gotta hit him up. And then it was like somebody else, and I was like, oh, I mean, obviously there are more people that do that, but I was kind of disappointed because I was like, it's him. So anyway,
I never heard of that before.
No, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing when my friend does it. It's like he does it usually to music. I actually got a chance to perform where we actually incorporated hip hop music with him doing the painting, fresh like a show that we did back in the day. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. You should look it up. Look up my boy. So at the beginning he does this, and that's kind of just to to kind of give way of how he wants this particular challenge to be artistic. So the challenge is to create an amuse bouche. Now, a amuse bouche is kind of like a 1 or 2 bite type thing where it has a lot of flavor. And it just hits you right away.
And it's really supposed to showcase the chef's specific creativity.
Correct. Because you have to do so much with so little.
Yeah.
It's almost like putting a meal, the way I envision it, is putting an entire meal in one bite, which would be very, very difficult.
It's like a poem on a plate.
Yeah,
it's so tiny.
That's good. I know.
I had no idea what an amuse bouche was.
Really?
I'd never heard of it before. So I thought that it was, and neither did Sterling, which I loved.
What did he call it? He called it like something else. He said
know.
the name really whack.
So I thought, and I didn't feel like I ever got a proper explanation about what it was, but I thought that it was going to have to be, I thought it was like one thing, like a halibut with X, Y, and Z.
Oh, you thought it was specific ingredients.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
I thought like an amuse bouche was specifically
This,
X, Y,
and
and
this.
Z.
Okay.
Not like
anything.
a small hors d'oeuvre
Right.
that could be anything.
Right.
So I was really confused when they were all cooking. I was like, they're doing different shit and
Right.
stuff. like who has this right? And then all of a sudden Jennifer has that like that head on
Right.
hers.
It's
That
like
was horrible.
the
The
dog
prawns.
food confusion.
Yeah.
Where I kind of thought, I was like, oh, they're making really
Yeah.
fancy dishes for dogs. Like I
Right.
was
You were with
thinking,
Sade,
yeah,
thinking
and then
it
I
was-
was like, oh no,
No,
it's not.
It's not. It's not. No, I mean, I've. I mean, again, because of my expertise in Hell's Kitchen, they've done it before. And I watch a lot of cooking shows, and I've heard the term. So I was familiar with it. I don't think I've actually personally had an amuse-bouche. Again, something that I'm looking to do. So people out there, if you know where I can find one, direct me to it because I'm down. Or you just want to deliver it. That's awesome too. We'll take it here at the studio. So the red team ends up going first. One of the judges that ended up helping Chef Ramsay is Tanya Steele from Epicurious, and she's actually been on the show either once or twice before. So he's used her before, and obviously because she has that #1 online food situation website, Epicurious, which is very, very popular. The red team goes first, so Tanya's up for the red team, and she does scallops, with some bacon, pretty standard. And she says it's like because it's from the South, they wrap their their
scallops and
bacon. That's how they do it. So she gets a solid score of a 7, which of course she's a solid person. Ro goes up again. Ro's up and down. So she does ahi tuna. She only gets a 4.
And I was surprised that she'd even done that because I feel like a seared ahi tuna is very simple. It's like a fancy version of simple.
Right. Well, I think also it's safe.
Yes.
And I think she just, again, and I think part of the challenge, like you said, when they paint her out there, is you're putting a painting on a plate. So you have to be creative with what you're doing. And so, I mean, yes, it's one bite, but that one bite has to have some impact. And doing what she did, it obviously didn't have any impact. It was flat. Jennifer goes up next. And she has this prawn head. And it's funny, too, because while they were prepping where they were cooking, I think it was Ro that was like, she said, oh, if this was a different situation, I'd be like, girl, that shrimp head or prawn head, you should not use that. It's not a good idea. But at this point, she's like, no, she kind of wanted her to fail a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, you're playing the game, but at the same time, it's a team. Right. I don't know. If you were in that situation and you knew that wasn't going to work, would you say something?
Well, if I'm in a situation with her, I would let her fail.
You would?
Yes, because I don't think she plays well with everyone else. I just don't think she's a very friendly person to be like, great, if someone's got to go, then it should be you.
I see. So you thought that, let her
because
fail.
Because it is their creativity. Like specifically their creativity. And like Ro had a really good point where she's like, I kind of do have to focus on my own thing. And maybe that little bit of distraction made Ro not make as good a dish as she could have.
I see. Okay.
I don't know. The shrimp head, I was just not a fan of it. Like,
well, it didn't. I mean, it didn't make sense. Again, I want to say he gave a pretty clear explanation. It's 1 or 2 bites, and however they took it. But if you're putting a prawn head on a plate, first of all, and her reasoning
bigger than the plate.
Yeah, but her reasoning was like, oh, because I like to suck the head of a prawn.
She said people like to. She made it seem like everyone does that.
Everyone does that, and everyone doesn't do that. And it definitely could be off-putting for a lot of people to have this ugly head on a plate, and this is supposed to be, something that you're excited about.
Yeah.
I would look at it and be like, I wouldn't be sucking the head out of the prawn.
That's like a very specific eater.
Exactly.
Likes that. And people do like it, but I just don't think that's common enough.
And I don't think it was something for this challenge. Maybe in the dish per se, where you have a shrimp, prawn head or whatever.
There's other things, and you can have the option to have that that shrimp head or not. But that was like it.
Right there, yeah. It was staring and everything. So she gets a 5. Blue team goes up, and Brian starts off, and they start off swinging. Brian gets a 7. He has scallops and corn kind of situation. Santos, he gets a 7 with tuna and everything else. Like he had 89 ingredients in this amuse-bouche. And they were like, dial back a little bit, homie.
You didn't have to use every crayon in the box.
Right, everyone. And he borrows some crayons. Sade was very interesting because they were kind of looking. And I have to say, I had a feeling it was going to be good because I had a feeling because, they're sitting there, they're like, and it was so much emphasis on, the fact that she uses passion fruit.
Well, that's also why I was so confused because I was like, girl, if you've never cooked with passion fruit before, like clearly you have to. Clearly passion fruit is a must in this amuse-bouche thing because you've never used it before and now you're doing it.
Well, I think she was trying to set herself apart. My thing is I think she's smart enough. She was tasting it, as she went to see if it was good. But I was a little worried for her when she's getting ready to prep. She's like, I'm going to use passion fruit. I've never used it before. Go big or go home. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's getting down to the wire. I don't know that that's a good idea. But, it worked out for her.
When they're like
and they loved
dramatically
it.
dogging it, where they're like passion fruit. I don't know. I was like,
Right.
just try it.
Just try it.
Just
Right.
try it. It might be good.
And that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
because they put so much emphasis
Yeah.
on before they taste it. I'm like, it's gonna be good.
The show has a very simple structure.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're very. I've gotten to a point where exactly what you don't think is going to happen will, and whatever you think will happen, whatever they tease is a big giant lie. And I've learned how to cheat the system here.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in the very end. But
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, and I've said this before several times, because again, like I said, I've seen every season, and they do have a formula. They do have a formula with how they do the show. A lot of the challenges are the same. It's kind of like, I mean, they have variations of them, so there's a little bit of a difference, but you know, everything's the same. If you lose, you're gonna be punished and do some crazy stuff in the kitchen.
But their cliffhangers are the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the same thing.
The
Yeah.
second they criticize someone so much,
Right.
you know they're about to win.
Right.
As soon as, you know...
No, it's a formula. It's
As
a
soon
formula.
as he calls somebody up,
Right.
you know he's going to say back in line,
Right.
as opposed to actually eliminate
Right.
them. Like,
Right. For the most part. No, I totally agree.
Figured you out. I figured you out.
But it obviously works. 13 seasons is a long time to be on a show. So, and we know they have like 20 more than they've already
Yeah,
filmed.
they're just in the can waiting.
Right, exactly. We went to one already. We
Yeah.
don't know which one that is.
It's a cheap show to make because
Right.
they just send their contestants down the street to the Santa Monica Pier.
You
so-
know? Okay. So,
And they have their own contestants clean the dorms. Like there's literally no...
Right.
There's no production cost here.
they cook all the food. They cook their own food in the dorms.
It's like Chef Gordon Ramsay is going to
Right.
Santa Monica Pier
Right.
with his family that day. He's
Right.
like, all right, so you guys are going to come with us to
You guys are
here.
going- yeah,
Did he
that's
even
it.
go with them?
No.
No, not this time.
He stopped even going...
Well,
He's like,
he-
I'm not even going to
He
the
goes
pier.
to the big ones.
This
Yeah.
is a good
He
one.
goes. Yeah, he goes.
He
to the
didn't
big
go with the
ones.
one in this episode.
Right. Yeah. See.
He's over it.
Yeah.
He's busy filming his 5 other shows.
Right. Exactly. So
Hey,
yeah,
man's got to pay
And
bills.
he's doing his
And
thing.
laughing all
Shout
over
out
the
to Gordon
bank.
Ramsay.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
holding it down. So like we said, it ended up being good, which sounds like we all predicted. And she got a 9 out of 10. So she smashed it out of the
Yeah.
park.
She needed that.
And she did. She definitely, because, you know, you saw last episode, she was so defeated. She was tired of losing. And it is frustrating because I think she is a decent chef. She does do well. She's definitely on the top 3, I would say. But when you keep losing, because again, it's a team challenge at this point, and you could do great every single time, but your teammates aren't doing well. You keep losing. It's frustrating, you know, and it's a mental game. So
Being the newcomer, the girl
Right,
on the guys'
right.
team,
Trying to find
Santos
her-
and Bryant are constantly
Right.
blaming it on her. So
Right.
she needed this to prove to her.
Absolutely,
To them. So-
absolutely. And we do find out that it is, you know, she missed 7 challenges, so she lost 7 times in a row. That's huge. That's a lot. So the reward this particular time was not Santa Monica Pier. So maybe because this one was so dope, maybe it was like they had to save up. Maybe that's what it was. So, but the reward was actually Kelly and I. Well, they actually got to take a helicopter and fly in. I've never been there, but I've always wanted to go. So this kind of got me even more hype to try to figure out how to get over there.
On your birthday, you get to ride over there for free.
Really?
What?
No way.
Yeah.
On the ferry?
And Catalina Island, yeah.
Are you serious?
Ferry's free?
On your
can-
birthday. I think you have to like register ahead of time, but I've had
Right.
friends do this on their birthday. They're like, I'm
Really?
taking a solo trip to Catalina Island.
Really?
Because of that, yeah.
Just the ferry though, but you have to pay to get back.
It's after your birthday. I think you get a round trip.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah, I
you on your
think.
birthday,
Okay, I
but you got to
think.
pay to get that. Yeah, that's okay. Interesting. I may try that. Birthday's next month. So they got to go to Catalina Island. They got to eat at this fabulous restaurant right there in the water. They were skipping stones, big giant stones on the water. The losers had to deal with coconuts, which in itself was just like, okay, it's coconuts, but it ended up turning into a bigger ordeal because Jennifer, you guys' favorite, she ends up getting a reaction. And we've seen this happen before. She was sick before and she ended up,
fainted.
fainted and got out. So she's like very sick prone, if I can use that term. And you know, right after they were done prepping the coconut, she's like, oh, I'm feeling something, and look, I'm breaking out, and I'm allergic, and you know, and then she rushes to the bathroom, and then you see one of the producers come out, are you okay? They end up calling the ambulance. They pick her up. She does make it back So she, I was surprised to see her come back. I didn't think she would be back.
But she made a really good point saying she had to come back, otherwise she would have been put up.
That's true.
And she knew that.
They were definitely, because again, it's down to the wire. So what are you going to do? Oh yeah, we didn't do well because Jennifer wasn't here. She needs to go. She hasn't been doing well anyway. You know what I'm saying?
When Steve got eliminated because he messed up his knee. It's like, all right, you're the one that got. So she had to suck it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, in the same way that like Steve can't walk around in the kitchen and function, I don't think you can function in the kitchen if you have allergies to food.
Well, but she obviously didn't know. I mean, she didn't know. So
but then that concerns me if she's never dealt with a coconut.
I mean, who
she's a chef.
Okay, but who cracks coconuts? Unless you work in a place that serves coconut stuff.
I don't know.
I mean, a luau centered restaurant. I'm just saying, where would you find? I mean, I don't think that coconut is specific. I mean, it's a very specific ingredient. So I could see that she could probably have not dealt with that as like that. And then they were how many hours messing with all those coconuts? So she may have dealt with one coconut and then that didn't do it for her. But 49 did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just could be one of those things.
Maybe it's her bad attitude. Maybe sick.
The spirit of the coconuts got her. So
the coconuts are telling, relax, dude. Relax. We're here. We come from palm trees. We're relaxing.
Right. Just chill out. Chill out. Man, speaking of coconuts, did Sterling have a moment?
Yes.
He
misses his fiance.
So he put on a coconut kind of bra thing and starts dancing around looking crazy. My thing is, I feel like he just he'll go into these spells where he's working and I think it's a light switches on. It's you have to be crazy now, and then he'll just start acting out. I think that's what happens with him. But the thing is, it's him. I feel like this whole entire season he's been himself, 100. He's been 100. I think he's tried very hard. But I mean, he's done what he's able to do. And I think that's what it is at the end of the day. But anyway, I'm going to give him his just due in a moment. Sterling, we're going to start service. Sterling's on scallops. So he basically went during the prep. She had given him a notion, and she had said, I figured out this system where the scallop should take 40 seconds. If you do 40 seconds, that's pretty much a perfect scallop. And so,
which way to go?
Right.
How many weeks in are we?
Right. Exactly. So the funny thing is, of course, Sterling is very literal. So he's on scallops. So what does he do? He puts the scallops on and he starts counting out loud.
2
up to 40. And she's like, what's going on? She's like, oh my gosh, he's really counting out loud the scallops. So, but it worked initially. It did work initially for him, as crazy as it sounded, and it was. It worked at first. He was doing good. Sade on the blue team, she was killing it on her appetizers. We'll go back to Sterling. It probably was cool a couple of times for whatever reason. I don't know if he stopped counting. I don't know if he got his numbers mixed up. I don't know what happened.
Got his numbers mixed up.
I don't know. Sterling
forgot how to count.
I don't know. But he ends up messing up on the scallops. And, Chef Ramsay doesn't play with those scallops because it's one of those things. It's either they're good or they're not. There's no in between, And so, ended up, he messed them up 3 different times. So to the point where, they took him back there and was like, yo, you need to get it together. And he's like, can you do it? And he's like, yes, I can. Don't give up on me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of it. So the team gave him the pep talk. They're like, if you mess up again, we're going to take it over. He's like, oh, I got it. Well, sure enough, he messes up again. And so they take him off and they put him on garnish. And I quote him on this and he says, I promise I won't give up. And that's the thing with him. It's like he has not given up. At the end of the day, yes, he's not the best chef. We've said this 100,000 times, but he's never given up. He's never and I've seen chefs on the show that are talented, more talented than him, that just I'm not doing it no more.
Aaron,
or I'm done.
Last week, 2 weeks
exactly.
ago.
Yeah, exactly. Prime example. He's just like, oh, I'm done. Because they're fed up because of the show, or they just feel like they don't have it anymore, or whatever. But he has never given up. So I got to give him credit for that. Jennifer on the red team, she actually ends up getting behind for a sec. Santos, This was like a scallop craziness, this whole kind of episode on the service. But he messes up the scallops, and then Chef Ramsay pulls him by himself and kind of gives him like a pep talk. And so, he calls everybody in, and normally what he does is he'll, okay, the winning team is, or there's no winning team, go deliberate and pick 2 people who's going to come out. That's, we know, as the formula. That's what he does.
I knew
this particular time he flipped it and he says, Sterling, come up here. And I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I do. I'm getting choked up for my boy. So he calls Sterling up and he eliminates him.
Well, first he says, he's like, Sterling, come here. And I was like, yes, Sterling's finally gone. Sorry, dude. It's like, he's finally gone. He goes, keep your jacket. I'm like, I jumped up on my couch and smacked my table. I was like, no, not again.
You thought he was going to save him.
The past 5 weeks,
yeah.
Sterling, back in line. He was like,
Right.
Sterling, keep your jacket. I was
Yeah.
like, God, are you kidding?
Yeah.
He's back at it.
Right.
But he was just being like really cool and allowing him to keep.
Yeah. No.
But I was like, I was pissed.
No, I'll say it like this. There's a few times that he'll do that with people. I remember specifically there was one season, this was like an earlier, I want to say it was like 3rd or 4th season. So this is a while ago. And there was a late, not like she had very little experience. I think she worked in a cafeteria. That was her like job. I'm sorry. She was a line cook. She was a line cook in like just a regular, like a Denny's or something like that. And so, but she had heart. She had mad heart. And like Sterling, just had heart. And so she plowed through, she kept pushing, she didn't have all the skills, but when it came time for her to be eliminated, Chef Ramsay did kind of the same thing. He's like, and to the point with her, he even offered, he says, I'm going to pay for you to go to culinary school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. And she was just like crying and everything because she was dope. She had mad heart. And I think that's what Chef Ramsay saw in Sterling,
That's what kept him around so long.
That's what kept him around so long. He had heart and he was a likable guy. Like, and I will say this is a first for me on the show. I've never seen where someone gets eliminated and people start crying as many people as that did. I've seen maybe one person feel sad for their best friend.
Yeah.
That's there. But like literally on both teams, people were crying. You know what I'm saying? For Sterling. And then he's like, can I go hug everybody?
He's like, yeah, man, go hug everyone.
Can I go hug everybody? Like, and he said, and again, another quote from him, he said, I got Chef Ramsay heart. He's like, I didn't win, but I got his heart. Yeah. And my thing is, I think if you do that, like if you go out like that, that's like the best way. Totally. Because it's like at the end of the day, people are also looking at this. And if he's looking for a job and he wants to expand his career, that's going to be a help for him because they know that he's likable. Mm-hmm. They know that he's, and I really see him having his own show. I mean, we said this before. I see him having his own like show on like Food Network or something where he makes these crazy dishes and he starts saying all these sayings about 100 and pronouncing stuff wrong, but it's amazing, and everybody wants to watch it. So
they call him Mr. 100.
Yeah, exactly.
You just follow him around.
I'm telling you, Sterling, if you're watching, man, we need to have you on the show. We only got 4 more episodes. Let's get it cracking. So a few more episodes. So both teams, he still does have both teams deliberate, which I was surprised. I thought he might have just dismissed them already, but he did still want to have them find out who was going to get eliminated, so to speak. He did ask them to pick one person, not 2 this time, because again, it's only 3 on each side. So the blue team ends up picking Santos, and then the red team ends up picking Ro. And they push him up to elimination. And this, again, we're talking about things that are predictable, things that happen. I know that in Blackjack, it's 6 people.
I knew that too, just from talking to you and I was seeing the show.
Right.
Yeah.
So I knew at Blackjack 6 people. There's 6 people left. So I'm like, no one's going to get eliminated. So, of course, when they, Rowan and Santos are up, he's like, no, take off your jackets, put these black ones on. I mean, I kind of saw it coming. So he pulls Jennifer out like Jennifer, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Gives her
I
a
got
black
excited.
jacket.
I was like,
right.
oh, he's going to.
No, I thought, I knew Ro and Santos were getting the black jackets.
Yeah.
I thought maybe
Jennifer get eliminated.
Like, Jennifer, you can't breathe. You're allergic to coconuts.
Right. Get up out of here.
Get out.
No, it's 6 people with black jackets. So I knew that was happening. So, I mean, but it's still cool to see, you know what I'm saying? And I think the people that are there overall, like I would have I knew Sterling wouldn't make it, but I would like to at least see him get to Black Jacket just to see what he can do
maybe
by
be like
himself.
the first one out.
Yeah, or something like that. But I think everybody that's there pretty much, deserve to be there. I don't think Jennifer's bad. I think that she just,
She's just annoying.
She's just annoying, and she's not likable, and that's just what it is. So that being said, we've covered both episodes. Real quick, let's get into predictions. Let's do that.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions. All right, so Black Jackets, everyone's out for themselves now. There's no more teams. They will all now cook. If the show follows the same format, they'll all cook in one kitchen and produce that way. And then everyone basically is on their own, so to speak.
And then will they each deliberate and put 2 people up each time? Or...
Yes. They'll deliberate all together and then put up the weakest 2 people that they feel as the 6 people go, and then it'll just wind down from there. So that being said, what is your prediction now? You've seen all 6 people there. Let's say top 2. Give me your prediction on the top 2. Who's going to last out of these? Go ahead, Marielou.
Latasha. She's my girl. I think she's going to be the one to take it all.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, because she can run a crew and she's consistently good at her meal preparation.
Okay.
And then the other one is Bryant.
Bryant's
my other guy, even though he blew up the one time, but it's really just the one time.
Okay.
So those are my 2.
Okay.
I actually have the same top 2.
Really?
I think Santos is gone next.
You think he's going to be the next to go?
Yeah, I think it'll be shown that he's not very good. Bryant, I don't like, but he's good.
Yeah. Okay.
But Tasha's gonna win.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna agree with you on Tasha. I think she's gonna take the whole thing. So I think we're all in agreement with that. But I think Sade. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Sade, but just seeing what she's done with going from the red team over to the blue team, still holding her own, even through all of that she's been through, and she's still a force to be reckoned with, especially even doing, I don't know if it was a fluke with this whole, situation with the passion fruit / cabbage / whatever she made, tuna. But I think that because she's willing to take risks, and we know that she can lead, I think that she's going to make it to the top 2. That's
Who's going home next week?
I agree with you.
Marielou?
I agree with you. So
who's going home next week?
Santos is probably the bottom of my list.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, I think, and I don't like him. So,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. We did it. We covered both episodes. Make sure you tune in next week. It's getting down to the wire. It's 6 chefs that are left. Don't know what's going to happen. We got to wait and find out. But I'm really excited about where it's going down because it's all or nothing.
The Black Jackets are on.
The Black Jackets are on. I have been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Poet Saint. Marielou, where can they find you?
You can find me on all sorts of social media at Marielou Mandl, MARIELOUMANDL.
I love how you sing that every time.
Every time. It's like part of the name.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jeff_Thurm, THURM. See you next week.
All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Next week.
100.
100.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.